When we think of brutalist architecture, we don't typically think of painting and ornamentation. In fact, we think the exact opposite. Brutalism is about material and form. So this seems like an odd marriage to me. Take a graphic designer, give him a public art commission, and then mix him with brutalist architecture. But that's exactly what happened here in the 1970s. Milton Glaser, arguably the most important graphic designer of the past 100 years, was asked to do a public art commission with this building by the modernist architect Evans Woollen. And what you see behind me is part of the 18,000 square foot mural he created. But is it any good? Is it successful? Quite frankly, I'm not sure. But I respect both Glaser and Woollen, so I felt it appropriate to spend some more time with it and see if I might change my mind. So, let's talk about it. Art lovers, welcome back to the channel. My name is Christopher West, and this is the place where we talk about all things modern and contemporary art and design. And today we're going to tackle a difficult subject. Difficult because so many people in the community, not just the typical art audience, develop such strong opinions about it. And that's public art. If you walk by a piece of art in a museum and don't particularly like it, you can simply walk on to the next one. But public art becomes part of our everyday lives. In theory, it is supposed to enrich our lives, make our environments more welcoming, and encourage us to more appreciate our surroundings. And I'm not going to touch on what I think we can all agree as bad art. Like the sculpture of basketball legend John Wooden that is surrounded by legs that have freakishly been detached from their bodies. Or pretty much any sculpture by the famed J. Seward Johnson, the Thomas Kincaid of public art. No, I want to talk about that area in between, when a talented artist is challenged to take on a difficult situation, in the hopes that we can have a discussion about what makes a successful piece of public art. And as our case study, specifically, we are talking Milton Glaser's intervention on the modernist building designed by the architect Evans Woollen. If Glaser's name is not immediately apparent to you, you certainly know his work. He was one of the most celebrated designers in the United States, famous for his designs for locales and organizations like Columbia Records, New York State, and the Newport Jazz Festival. Well, in the 1970s, the General Services Administration commissioned Glaser to design a mural for their new federal building in Indianapolis. It was designed by the architect Evans Woollen, a local modernist probably best known for beating out Eero Saarinen in a competition to design Clues Memorial Hall on the campus of Butler University. The federal building is located on the east side of the mall in downtown Indianapolis. Woollen was responding to the classical architecture situated on the other sides of the park, like the library building, and the Scottish Rite Cathedral, and the World War Memorial. In fact, he was looking at the stepped pyramid atop the memorial for inspiration when he created his inverted ziggurat. So, when the GSA contacted Glaser for the project, he consulted with Woollen, and they worked on a collaborative basis. And it's important for us to talk about a couple different types of public art. First, there is what we affectionately call plop art. This is when you have some sort of pedestal or pad, and simply plop any sculpture on top of it. The sculpture could basically go anywhere, as long as, of course, it fits on top of the pedestal. And then there's site-specific art. This is art that takes in its surroundings and responds to its environment. Site-specific art is made for a specific place. And this is what Milton Glaser wanted to do. But Glaser saw this building as already fully formed. He thought that the architecture itself was so powerful and so dominant that the introduction of another physical element would be incredibly difficult. So he abandoned the idea of a sculpture and thought the appropriate path forward was through light and color. He thought architecture, color, and light, all working together, could produce something that hadn't been seen. So he designed this 672-foot-long, 27-foot-high mural that would wrap around the entire ground floor of the building. He included a programmed light system that pulsated on the mural, activating it when the sun had gone down. And as time wore on, the mural would fade and the lighting system would become outdated. But in 2012, there was a complete restoration of the mural and a new lighting system installed, one that more closely mirrored the initial vision of the designer. And this is what we see here today. And I like Glaser's story, and I admire him as a designer and an artist. I like his thought process as he was conceptually thinking about intervening on this building. I like the idea that we surround ourselves with public art, and I love the fact that the government was funding it. But I'm still not convinced that this art on this building really hit the mark when compared with other pieces of great public sculpture. And it seems the architect might not have been completely sold on this piece too. In 1985, Woollen told the Indianapolis Star this pretty bizarre quote: "I suspect there are people in many walks of life who are disturbed by bright colors. They feel there's something obscene about certain color combinations. They may equate the color purple with a sort of emotional abandon. They want their public places to be very somber." What? I don't want my public places to be particularly somber. I want them to be alive and welcoming. So does this piece hit the mark? I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments. And if you like sculpture, public or private, I've got a playlist right here for you to indulge your senses. And to anyone still watching, you guys are rock stars. Please subscribe to the channel for more content on modern and contemporary art, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Ciao!